Welcome to the Shift into What's Next podcast, where embracing change can ignite a world of possibilities. Hey now, I'm your host, Elise Ancel, and welcome back. Today I want to talk about a different kind of victory, the kind that doesn't always come with celebration or obvious closure, the kind you only recognize once you stop chasing the result and start noticing what's been changing in you. No. This episode is called The Win I Didn't See, because sometimes what we gain is far greater than the thing we were actually fighting for. There are things in life that you can demand, and rightfully so. Things that were owed, things that were lost, things that were never handled the right way. And I did what many of us do during those times. I stood my ground. I used my voice. I pressed for justice. But somewhere in the middle of all that fighting, I had to ask myself, what happens when the outcome doesn't match the energy I put in? What happens when my demand is met with silence or resistance or a version of the answer that still doesn't feel fair? I used to think victory meant getting what I asked for. Now I see that sometimes the real win is what happens after the demand fades. Because here's what's true. Victory doesn't always look like the response. It doesn't always show up in paperwork or a settlement or an apology. Sometimes the win shows up quietly, in your peace, in your growth, in the fact that you didn't become bitter while waiting for justice, in the way you've learned to trust that what's for you doesn't have to be forced into place. So let's take a moment. What outcome have you been chasing to the point of exhaustion? Are you open to seeing the win in how you've grown rather than just in what you gain? Sit with that for a moment. Maybe you've been waiting for a specific response, a decision, a reversal, a breakthrough that proves your efforts weren't in vain. I get that. What if peace in your mind, healing in your heart, and clarity in your next step were the answers you didn't know you needed? Sometimes we miss the win because we expect it to show up in grand gestures, when really it's in the quiet way you no longer react the same, no longer carry the same weight, no longer need the validation to know your worth. So as we wrap up, here's what I want to leave with you today. Your demand may have gone unheard, but your growth, that was loud. And the peace that followed your release, that was confirmation. So maybe the win didn't come wrapped in the outcome you imagined, but it came anyway. You showed up, you spoke up, and even when it didn't play out the way you hoped, you kept your heart intact. That's the win. Not everyone will see it, but you will feel it. And that quiet transformation, that strength you didn't know you had, that freedom you found when you finally let go, that's the win you didn't see. But it was always yours. Until next time. Thanks for joining me today. If you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and like, share, or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. And feel free to leave a comment. I'd love to hear how your shift is unfolding.